In today's episode, once again, we are speaking to the amazing Alice Crawley. Alice is a well-respected authority in transformation who specializes in helping people release unhelpful and destructive patterns, beliefs, and behaviors to activate deep and lasting change in their lives and finances. She is a certified master coach, counselor, NLP programming practitioner, hypnotherapist, transformational specialist. Alice's work is founded on the principles of the power of quantum connection, the art and science of applying quantum focus, and heart-mind connection to unlock unlimited potential and possibilities and prosperity. And today we're talking to Alice about how to navigate from darkness to light. She herself went from being severely addicted to various drugs and overspending and various other addictions, and has now become a transformational coach, so much so that her story has been captured in a book, which is now going to become a movie. So let's speak to Alice and find out how you and I too can go from darkness to light. And if you want to upgrade your money mindset, then click on the link www.millionairefoundations.com and watch my free training. Welcome. This is Gull, your money mindset expert. And today, once again, we have the wonderful Alice Crawley. Welcome, Alice.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's amazing to be here.
Thank you so much for coming back, Alice. We had such a fantastic conversation. It's been probably one of the best ones I've had for a while. And I'm thrilled to have you back on Money Talkies. But once again, everyone's heard your intro. They know how wonderful you are. But please, in your own words, share with everyone what it is that you do.
Thank you so much, Gull. So it's Alice Crawley. I'm an author, a professional speaker, and a quantum transformation coach. So I help people to access their unlimited source of potential and possibilities to create a life that they absolutely love.
Absolutely wonderful. And we talked quite a lot about being in the space of darkness before coming out the other end, and especially as entrepreneurs. And I know that a lot of people who listen to this particular podcast are entrepreneurs. They're either entrepreneurs in their heart or actually are entrepreneurs, and they've set up their businesses and are working on them at the moment. So today's topic is all about how to navigate yourself from darkness to light. And I think based on your journey, what you've described, this is a perfect topic for you. So talk us through this now, Alice. We know from that as an entrepreneur, we're going to come across these instances, this times in our lives when we think we've got our things together, we've got a life together, and all of a sudden, because we do take risks, everything falls apart, and you're sitting on your bum thinking, oh, what did I just do? And the shame attached to as well. Like, I thought I'm supposed to be a success. Why am I a failure again? And having that, and entrepreneurs go through those shame, episodes quite frequently. Success, yes. Failure, success, failure, success, right? It happens quite a lot. I know myself, I experienced that quite a bit. And so how do we start? Where do we even start? What do we do if someone thinks, and by the way, I want to add to this. If your natural state of being is going into a space of hopelessness, that's what you'd be. And I'm going to share my personal example. So when I left my second husband, and he pulled the financial, a card, and was literally forcing me to accept his girlfriend as a second wife and so forth, and I said no. The energy I had at that time was complete hopelessness. I was hopeless. I didn't have anything. I was a failure as a mom, as a woman, and so the shame energy of failure and hopelessness stayed with me. And unfortunately, that's my go-to now. And I can share this because this is being vulnerable and open about it. Even now, from the outside, people see me as successful, have the properties and have this business and another business. Every time I don't succeed at something, or when it's my time to be tested again, which is quite frequent at times, I go back into the energy of hopelessness, of shame, of embarrassment. And, then I judge my intelligence, and I judge my ability. I judge my ability even as a mother. It doesn't make logical sense, but obviously emotions are logical and your subconscious mind isn't logical. So we tend to go into those old emotions, which is your go-to when you're down. How do we get out from this? Because hopeless is a horrible, horrible place to be. Like, everything's out of my control. I can't do anything. I'm a
Oh,
fool. I'm nothing. I'm and you're embarrassed to tell anyone about what's happened. Because remember, as an entrepreneur, you're doing this on your own.
oh.
How do we even begin this journey?
So it's a great question. And there's something, one of my go-tos has been, through painful practice, make no mistake, through painful practice. I never like to position this like, oh, here's 3 easy R's and everything, like blood, sweat, and tears. Right, have learned the hard way. It took a very expensive scenic journey, but there's 3 R's that I come back to when I find myself on this roller coaster, and if I'm feeling too high, or particularly when I'm feeling too low. And the 3 R's are relax, release, and reset. And what those stand for me is that I have to come back firstly to relax. And now that sounds, I don't mean, I'm not saying that in a, that make, just relax about it. But what I mean about that relax is wherever I'm at, if I find myself, and we all do it, where we repeat patterns or we're triggered into an old emotional response system, and it's natural, and it's more than natural. It's actually a neural network, right? That's been burned into it becomes like, it becomes our unconscious blueprint. It's like programming of a PC, right? So we default to it. We know that we're doing it, but it can often be very hard to shift it if we've got those neural pathways already kind of burnt into place. So really, the art of it is, how do we relax and accept where we're at, so that we can start to shift our energy and our focus to something that's going to put us on a different trajectory in terms of how we're thinking and how we're feeling. So the first R for me around relax is very simply that reminder that I need to make, that I give to myself, even when I'm in a pit of despair or hopelessness. And when I say relax, I mean it as in a letting go or a surrender, and coming to a place of, I consider, like, being an entrepreneur, I think of it as getting a black belt in acceptance, right? Because there's so much acceptance that we have to cultivate through the process. So when I say, that relax about where you're at, it's about honoring where you're at and accepting where you're at. And honestly, that can be the hardest part of the battle, right? Because what happens for me is, it's just like, how could this have happened again? And I'm meant to be the expert in this. And all of those narratives start spinning in the head, right? Are they helpful? No, they're incredibly unhelpful, and they make us feel worse, and they drive us further down the shame spiral. So what I have to do is go, okay, the first one is just relax. And that stands for, reminds me to accept that this is where I'm at, and this is where it is. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Because if I was talking to a best friend and they came to me and they were like bashing themselves because they were in the same spot and they hadn't had a nice linear journey on their financial recovery, I'd be the first one saying to them, please, Gull, don't be so hard on yourself. We all do it, right? So the first step is that relax, that acceptance. Okay, this is where I'm at. It's okay. Let's just let the whatever's unraveling, relax and honor where we're at. The second one is releasing the emotions that are coming with it. Because the challenge is, and again, we go into that default, that old programming, and it's more than, as I say, it's not just natural, it's hardwired, right? We get these particular mental patterns, these triggers, these neuroses, they get set off in our head. And when we get stuck in these webs of the neuroses and the shame spiral, it's because we get stuck in the analysis, which is just our head telling us that we can figure it out. It's actually not about figuring it out. It's about releasing the energy and the stories and the narratives that come with it. So the first step is that relax and accepting it. And that second one is releasing. Not buying into it, not analyzing it, not investigating it. There's nothing wrong with doing that investigative work and reflecting, but the best thing we can do is go into a meditative state, find a way to channel and release the emotions that are coming with it, because actually it's a story that we're telling ourselves. It's nothing more than that. And there was a great tip I got from a friend, some time ago, from rehab, that I love this one, that she said, when you're in a negative narrative loop in your head, start saying to yourself, I'm a banana. I'm a banana. I'm a banana. And when I heard, I'm thinking that's so ridiculous, but that's the point. It's ridiculous. And it was such a good point, because it doesn't matter what the tape is in your head, and it's a way of short circuiting. So whatever negative thing, like I've stuffed it up again, I'm a failure, I can't believe I've done this, I'm a banana. I'm a banana, and just say that until it stops it, right? And it's just that beautiful reminder of whatever the thoughts that are going in your head, they're not true. They're simply a wired pattern. They're a wired emotional response pattern to something that's happening in your life. So it's okay. Relax, find a way to release it. You might need to channel. You might need to cry. I had a big cry earlier today, right? These are the things we do. I go on the balcony and I have a dance. I journal. I talk to a friend. So it's finding whatever way you can to, in a really healthy way, release those emotions. Allowing that to release out of our system, it clears it so that we can create space to reset. And that's the third R. And that reset is when we've cleared the emotion out, and you might need a big sleep. You might need a couple of big sleeps. It might take you a couple of days. You know what? Like I ideally do a massive emotional, mental, and neurological and physical reset every morning. I don't get out of bed until I feel that I'm congruent and I'm aligned with a sense of gratitude and love and peace. And I genuinely can get out of bed knowing that I am drawing amazing things into my experience. Now that takes a lot of mental discipline. And that's been a big decision I've made in my life over the last 2 years. But if I can't get over my own negative self-talk, I'm not facing the world. So that's, so when I talk about that reset, it's about resetting to no matter what, no matter where you've been, no matter what decision you have just made, no matter what has just happened in the moment just before this, you have a moment and an opportunity right here and right now to reset around what your intention is and match that intention with an elevated emotion and start tapping into how it feels to already have what it is you want and to feel how it is you want to feel. Now, I know I'm saying that in a very simple way, and I know that it sounds simple and it's maybe not always easy, but I come back to those 3 R's whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, angst, stuck, hopeless, despairing, because I know that fighting and trying to grapple and work it out and wrangle my way to a better reality, that's not going to work. The best thing I can do is let go. Let go and let God, as people would say, but release it, relax about it, release it, and then reset. Reset your energy.
I think that's beautifully said. I want to add a little bit more to it, and which I've recently come across, and that's the truth of the matter is, you're going to have times in your life when you do need to look at your diet as well. One of the biggest things that I found was, as women, your hormonals, and as you get older, or even when you're younger as well, stress has a different impact on you as an entrepreneur. So unfortunately, I think there's very little differentiation, because I was born into this in the late 70s, early 80s segment, where there was a big false female empowerment bullshit, excuse the language, and we were told that we're like men. We're not like men. Okay, we can be great entrepreneurs, and we are great entrepreneurs, but we cannot be treated the same way as men, because we have hormones, we have emotions, and our emotions are dictated by our hormones. So I think that's another thing that I've come to realize, is a lot of the times it's not because my mental capacity has diminished, or I'm stupid or dumb. It's because my emotions are all over the place, and that's because of my hormones. So you do need to check, when you are if you are in despair, you do need to keep an eye on to make sure that it's not exaggerated. That it could be falsified information, right? So what is fear? Fear is false information, false, was it something, the acronym for it?
I think false evidence
appearing real. That's it. And so a lot of the times, if you are a female, you have stress, and you go through a lot, and being an entrepreneur, you do go through a lot of stress, you're going to have cortisol impacting you, and then it's going to have direct impact on other hormones of yours, and it may be you are out of balance. that's going to impact you and how you view yourself and how sad you feel as well. And as I recently came to understand. And so therefore I'm just adding something in, because it's very important that we focus on, okay, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? We don't actually think we are all these spiritual beings, but we're living in a physical body. And the physical body has needs. It needs to be rested. It needs to be well taken care of. It needs to be fed. And sometimes you need to give it nutrition, which it may be lacking. So I just want to add in there that I found that, when I'm going, because I'm going through this period at the moment, again, I'm thinking, what the hell? And I thought I was spiraling downwards, and I realized, no, it's not. I've got hormonal issues, and I don't do conventional medicine, so I wasn't going to go for there. So I went and researched, and I went and got lion's mane and a few other things to help me focus. And of course, the problem's still there, but now I feel in control. I think the one thing that we need to understand is, as soon as we believe we can control this, we can do this, we can overcome this by something. We can't control situation, but we can control ourselves. I can control me. I can control what I do. I can control how I behave. There's a sense of empowerment which allows you to move forward. I think when you feel out of control and you don't feel that you've got control over yourself, that is when you spiral downwards. Wouldn't you say?
I absolutely agree, Gull. And I think it's wonderful that you pointed out the reality of what we're dealing with our human and our physical bodies, right? And that's exactly it. But it's important to, and it's not easy when you're in it, but another factor, that I had to face into, I was diagnosed high spectrum ADHD at the age 45. And it was very late in my life to be, but diagnosed with that. But it was like, suddenly it made sense in terms of, and actually I've got a conversation for another day. I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are high spectrum ADHD.
I think I haven't been diagnosed, but I think I probably have ADHD. I'm very likely, I've got all the symptoms.
I know it's really interesting, and we're hearing about more and more female entrepreneurs, and female women generally are being diagnosed later in life. I'm convinced my mother had ADHD, and I think that's why she drank heavily. It was her way of trying
dealing with it,
regulate. And so I think it's great you raise that about hormones, because there are very physical, that self-care component is so important, because if we're not looking after our bodies, if we're not looking after ourselves, those biochemical reactions, that reactivity chain, which is what will drive us into anxious or shame spirals, right? It basically, that's when the nervous system takes over. It's a response. And this is what happens with hormones, or when we get run down, high anxiety, stress, as you said, that cortisol. I've heard plenty of medical experts say, in their estimation, about 95% of disease is related to toxic emotion or suppressed emotion.
100%.
No, that's what's, you listen to Deepak Chopra, you listen to all of the masters in this space, and it all comes down to what we're not releasing or what we're not saying, and how we're not looking after ourselves. So I think it's great you've called that out, because it's really important. And I think particularly as women, as you say, we are we do need to look after ourselves, and we are going to go on hormonal journeys, and we have different factors biochemically to deal with, and that needs to be taken into consideration.
I think that also needs to be appreciated, because I think we get our superpowers from being women, but we also are at a disadvantage compared to men because we are women. If we're judged it's like going to that example, a while ago that I saw. If you judge a fish by what an elephant can do, that's never going to be an equal test, because what qualities a fish has and what qualities, forget elephant's a bit too big, but imagine a bird, so similar size, right? So a fish and a bird, they're equal size, and they have different abilities, but they may be equally wonderful, but they're different abilities. You can't judge it by one by the other. And unfortunately, the way this world has come about over the last, I'm 45 now, so the last 40 years of my life, I really feel that because I remember I've been guilty of this, like I could do everything a man can do, and I'm and now that I'm at I'm mid-age, and I'm thinking I'm equal to a man, hands down, absolutely I am, but I'm not the same as a man, and I won't be the same as a man, and I want my challenges to be accepted. I think it's harder for women to be entrepreneurs because men do not have that emotional roller coaster that we do as women. So I'm sure all entrepreneurs go through this ups and lows, but there's the reason why I think there's less entrepreneurs as female entrepreneurs and successful ones is because we go through more of these deep and dark moments, not just because of what we're going to experience physically, but also physiologically, like there's the hormonal issues. And if we don't recognize it, and had I not recognized what was happening to me, and I would have gone spiraling down. Like, I'm just, I had brain fog. I literally had brain fog. I couldn't work. My head hurt. And from going to someone who would read a lot, I couldn't read more than a few pages. I was stuck. And this is not something that a man's going to experience, at least not in his mid-age, in mid-40s. Whereas women, this is very common. I'm not unique. This is very, very normal. And we need to understand that about ourselves. We have to give extra self-love, and we have to appreciate, I am a superpower. I'm amazing. I'm fabulous. If I can be successful with notwithstanding all the challenges I'm coming against, I'm amazing. So it's another way to not to become a victim about it, but to reinforce, I'm amazing. I'm wonderful. I love myself because look at what I go through and look what I achieve. Wouldn't you say? Just, it's...
I love that. I absolutely echo that sentiment. And I would add to that the more we can talk about and normalize the up and down feelings that are involved with being a risk-taking female entrepreneur that wants to, only wants a life of daring adventure and living on the edge and expanding ourselves. And this is something that I speak to as well, about the anxiety that comes with expansion. And I heard you talking about it with the up leveling. I think of it, it's like when you're going up a mountain, you need to acclimatize. The air gets thinner.
Yeah, it does. It does. And it gets lonelier. It gets lonelier.
And that's it. And it gets lonelier, and it's not easy. And so I love that you are cultivating these conversations, Gull. Like, I think this is exactly what we need to be doing, because for me, it makes all the difference in the world just to normalize just to be reminded that, I have been going through big changes at home with work, career, the book, the film, emotionally had been all over the place. And I'm like, what's going on? I don't understand. And thank goodness that I had one of my, therapeutic colleagues say, Alice, it's not a mystery. There's no mystery, but it was just a beautiful reminder, there's no mystery. Of course, you're feeling all over the place because you're going through major change and you're embarking on big initiatives that you've invested a lot of heart and soul into. So guess what? It is going to be up and down. And that's okay. And as I say, I really appreciate and respect that you're drawing these conversations out of us, because we need to be having these conversations, because it helps. For me, it helps to know that there's other people out there that get it. I work with a couple of mompreneurs who we created this app to help people. It's a deferral payment system to help buy some people time, between bills, because in Australians have never been so financially stressed, and mothers and single parents are under a lot of pressure. And I see these mompreneurs, mums with they've got a job, they've got an app they're doing on the side, or even a couple of businesses and a couple of kids. And I'm just going like,
oh my God, yeah.
How they do it, right? But they're absolutely, so yes to that. I think they're absolute rock stars, they're legends. And we stay connected and we have these regular chats, and that's what gets us through is to have those conversations and go, you know what, I'm just feeling like absolutely absolutely all over the place. And it's great to have other strong, empowered entrepreneurs, people like yourself. We're out there expanding on what's possible for us, and we are already a success, and that comes with lots of emotional ups and downs, and that's okay.
Wonderful. And so talk us through again. So let's come back to this, the 3 R's. So how would you, what sort of meditations would you devise? Is it a specific meditation that you do, or is it just generally, pick one from YouTube? So I want to go a bit deep dive into the 3 R's as well now. So how would you actually, ask someone to, okay, let's reset first, okay? So how would you do that? So describe us through that and talk us through that.
Sure. So when I talk about the relax, release, and reset, I think of that as, that's a process that, if I'm honest about it, I often need to sort of take myself out of my environment, out of my reality, and go and have a lie down and do that, right? That's something that I need to, I do that before I get out of the bed in the morning. I do that before I go to bed at night. If I'm having a really overwhelming day, it's not always possible that I can go and take myself off for a meditation. But meditating, and I know I feel like, oh my God, I can't believe she's going to say meditating, but it really is true. And when I say meditating, in terms of going through that relax and releasing and reset process, is that, in my experience, when I go into feeling overwhelmed or feeling hopeless, if I try to shift my energetic state or my emotional state from that place where I'm feeling overwhelmed or hopeless, it's just, I'm not going to arrive at the solution. I need to tap into a different state of consciousness. And so by that, I mean, I need to take myself away. I've got meditations on my website. I've got people like Alessandria, who's a South American healer, who's worked with people like Joe Dispenza. So I've got my favorites and my go-tos. My meditations and the people that I listen to for my meditations all have similar integrated practices. So when I say integrated practices, I mean, these are Taoist, these are meditations inspired, derived from Taoist and Buddhist meditations of going into our heart space, dissolving, like really, going into a deep, still place within our heart, creating and connecting that heart-mind connection and cultivating that coherence. And what, in order to do that, it really is taking ourselves away from the external stimulus, right? Because, when we're looking at things, so it's going into that meditative state, it's going into that heart space, it's allowing ourselves to release the memories, the emotions, the experiences, everything that has, created whatever has happened up until this point, and being able to go into that space and emotionally release it. And make no mistake, that could happen in 3 minutes. It could happen in 30 minutes. It could be 3 hours. It could be 3 weeks, right? Depends on where we're at. And it's different for everyone. I would say that the same principles of that relaxing, honoring, accepting where I'm at, releasing the emotions around it, and then resetting with that intention, and setting that intention of how I want to be feeling and matching that with an elevated emotion. That's a daily practice for me. As I say, I do it first thing in the morning. I do it before I go to bed at night, and I practice it throughout the day. I find it a lot easier, as I say, to take myself out. And sometimes in the middle of the day, if I don't have the opportunity to go and lie down for half an hour to do that meditation and clear all of the narrative and the ego noise, to tap back into that heart space, which is really that is where we're going to be able to tap into that unlimited source of love and light and energy, right? That's that's where that energy is going to come from. We have to go below the noise. We have to go below the narratives. We've got to go beyond all of that. And the best way I've found to do that is through that heart-based meditation, and becoming aware and bringing into very clear consciousness how we're feeling at all levels of our being. So it's a practice of cultivating awareness and alignment.
I love that. And so you said you've got some of these meditations on your website. Is it any specific?
I do. Yeah,
okay.
so I do, and I've got them on my and you can find them on YouTube. I would say go to my toolkit on alicecrawley.com. There are there's lots of meditations out there. I mean, the other one that it's hard not to recommend someone like Deepak Chopra. I mean, he's such a master of different meditations, and what I love about Deepak is that he has longer talks, but he's also got those simple, and I've got a few of these in my toolkit as well, but even those simple meditation, mindfulness practices, anything that is going to help calm down the nervous system. The moment that we start to slow our breath, we slow our breath down, we start to slow our thoughts down, we start to calm our nervous system down. It's only through that more relaxed, more peaceful, more accepting state that we can start to expand into a different perspective. Having said that, it's easy to say that, when you're in that wound up state. So to me, the big practice has been identifying, okay, I've gone into hyper reactive, I've gone into a primal spiral, I've gone into a shame spiral, cultivating that observing ego and going, okay, I've done it again. And I'm in my reactive state. What can I do right now to unplug from it? So it may be going into the garden for 5 minutes. Right. I'm going into the garden. I'm just going to stare at the birds for 5 minutes, because whatever story is in my head, that's not going to help me. I need to reconnect with the moment right here and right now, and slow my breath and slow my thoughts, come back to my heart and reconnect to what it is that I want and how I want to be feeling, and then matching that with an elevated emotion.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So let's wrap this up. Tell us what would be your parting comment to someone thinking, I'm going through the darkness at the moment, Alice. Help me. What's the one thing I can do today? What's the first thing I should do today? How can I start? I can't see the light. I really can't see the light. How can I start having faith and start walking towards the light?
I love how you put that. And Gull, what I would say from my heart to theirs is that darkness is absolutely necessary for us to come into the light and for us to know the light. And the darkness, it feels like darkness when we're in it. And that's only because we're not able to see the greatest expansion that we're about to step into. So when we're in that place, that pit where it feels so dark, one of the best things that we can do is to really accept and honor that that's where we're at, and that's exactly where we need to be. And when we go into the stillness and the silence of that darkness, and we really face into it with love, we start to merge with it and realize that it isn't darkness at all. Light is at the core of it. But there are those times where it seems so dark, we can't see the light. And I really, really know, having been in those dark places, those low ebbs so many times in my life, it is a matter of trusting that the light is there. The light is always there. We are the light. And it is only that there is something that needs to be cleared for us to expand into that. So wherever you are, it is 100% okay. And keep going with faith, with trust, and know that you are love and light.
Beautiful.
No matter what.
Beautiful, beautifully put. And so this is a great place to wrap up. Tell us, Alice, how can we connect with you? Where can we find you on the internet?
So check out alicecrawley.com. We're going to put, I think, some links in the show notes, but I think that's probably the best bet. Go to alicecrawley.com. You'll see information on my podcast there. I've got toolkits of some of my meditations, and I'll be interviewing. I interview other people, amazing healing and meditation masters, mindset masters that I work with as well. And you can, and you'll find links to my YouTube channel and my Alice TV YouTube channel as well on there. So feel free to check out all of those spots, alicecrawley.com, and it'll have all the links to my Instagram and Facebook as well.
Wonderful. So if you are listening to us on the podcast, the links for Alex will be in the show notes. And if you're watching on YouTube, then down below in the description section, we will have the links for Alex too. Do check her out. She is as amazing as she sounds. Let's see if she can help you build a better business and come out from the darkness into the light. Well, thank you so much for being such an amazing guest, Alice. It's been such a fantastic conversation that I had. We can carry on talking for hours. We really are kindred spirits. But I've really enjoyed my time with you. And thank you for all your input and being so open and being vulnerable with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. An absolute honor and privilege. And I really hope for those who are listening that this brings some love and light and peace to you. And please remember, you're not alone. You are completely loved and deeply worthy of love now and always.
Wonderful. So thank you for listening to me and Alice today on Wednesday Money Talkies. I will be back with another amazing guest, finding out how you and I can build a better business. Until the next time we meet, this is Gull signing off. Take care and bye for now.